Manifesting is only for bad people. Now, unfortunately, you're gonna have to be a bad person, in air quotes, in order for you to actually materialize your desired reality. That is actually probably the thing that is currently limiting you. Now, a lot of people get caught up in the techniques, strategies, and methods, and you're writing your goals down 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night. You're doing 100 affirmations while staring at yourself in the mirror like a psychopath. But clearly, none of that ain't cutting it. And the reason being is because you actually need to become a bad person to materialize what it is that you want. And you're gonna have more of an understanding what I mean when I say a bad person. I don't mean you're gonna be doing the mad thing, kicking babies, nothing like that. But you are going to have to understand that there is something within this particular type of frequency, the label of what it means to be good or bad, that is actually hindering you. Because you're a good person, I know it. Don't lie to me. I see you smiling, I know you're a good person. So let's get straight into it. Now, somebody asked me who are your favorite spiritual teachers, so I'm going to say this again. Homelander, Daemon Targaryen, Franklin Saint, Season 6, Episode 5, Ghost from Power, maybe Tariq St. Patrick, maybe. Yeah, I give it to him. He's alright. And somebody said they subscribed because I'm Akon. I'm locked up. That actually made me laugh. Now, let's get straight into it. So, when I say manifesting is for bad people, you're first gonna have to understand what it actually means to be a good person and a bad person. Now, without going too deep into the concept of morality, right? Because I don't want to twist anybody's minds in a particular way. I'll probably make a separate video on that. But when we think about being a good person, there's a whole bunch of traits and characteristics that come with the meaning of being a good person that is actually hindering you. And until you have the ability to override your goodness, you're going to continue to hit the ceiling every time you strive to materialize what it is you want. No matter what technique you do, nigga, I promise you, it's nothing to do with the techniques. I always want you guys to remember this actually. So when we're talking about techniques and stuff like that, there are certain principles when it comes to reality creation that will beat any new strategy, it will be any new techniques, so on and so forth, because there's always going to be something new. There's always going to be a new shiny object. Law of assumption, this is the best way to visualize. This is how you do your vision boards, so on and so forth. And you need to detach from that. I've already told you this. None of those techniques actually work. They only work due to the emotional conviction that you pour into them, which activates their ability to work. My point being, it is all you. You are the secret technique. Now, understanding what it means to be a good person, let's think about this. What it means to be a good person, number one, and bear in mind, I'm not talking about what it actually means to be a good person. I'm talking about from a point of reference when it comes to materialization of your reality and from a point of frequency. What it means to be a good person? Well, it means not doing too much. What else does it mean? It means staying in line. It means making people comfortable. It means being relatable. And by the way, I receive so many messages. I'm seeing niggas copying my YouTube titles, my actual words bar for bar in videos, and thank you. Like, they say imitation is the highest form of flattery, so I am indeed flattered. Now, what was I saying here? What did I say here? Making comfortable. What did I say here? Do you remember what I was saying? Ah, perfect. Thank you. Being relatable. Thank you very much, AJ. Being relatable. Now, let's go across these one by one because they all need to be deconstructed in order for you to actually understand how they're hindering you. Because whether you realize this or not, everything that I've wrote is everything that you're doing. And I know that for a fact, or you'd have clicked off this video already, but no, there you are still here. So let's look at the first one. Not doing too much. Now, you have to understand, if you are the type of person that I think you are, the type of person that this type of video was attracted to, you're an individual with extraordinary dreams. You have desires that you want to materialize that would probably break people's minds around you to the point that you can't even tell them because they're going to laugh at you and be like, so on and so forth. Now, because of that, there's an aspect of you that knows once you strive, and here's the thing, most of you are afraid of success and you don't even realize how this fear of success is actually subconsciously and unconsciously preventing you from being able to attain it, because you're not doing too much. You don't want to do too much. You know that if you're able to materialize that desired reality you want, those around you are going to be saying, now you're doing too much. I'm sure you've had these moments where you've had this vision that you want to live for your life, these things that you want to materialize, and those around you are like, come on, man. My point being, like a nail that is stood out, they hammer you back in. Pause. Understanding that even more, when you're in that position where you're afraid of not doing too much, what this ends up doing is limiting yourself to actually be able to strive for what it is that you want to attain. Because, like I said, if you're not trying to do too much, then you're going to do, what are you going to do? You're going to do what everybody else is doing. You're going to strive for mediocrity. Now, there's nothing wrong with mediocrity if that's what you're striving for. But if you're somebody who wants to be an anomaly, if you're somebody who wants to be extraordinary, and you're being kind of, I guess, compressed in a sense back to the alignment of how everybody else moves because you don't want to do too much. When you're afraid of doing too much, you end up doing what everybody else does. And when you end up doing what everybody else does, essentially you fall into mediocrity. And what mediocrity is, whether you realize this or not, is a particular frequency. And once you fall into that frequency, due to energetic momentum building, it's how small winds become tornadoes. That's how snowballs become avalanches. It stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks without you even realizing, until you look around and then you think to yourself, hey, I'm just like everybody else. But it's good, right? Because if you weren't like everybody else, then you'd be considered a bad person, right? You see how it's tricky. Now, the next thing you do, you stay in line. You stay in line. Once again, similar to the first one, you know that if you're able to materialize, and in fact, I won't say if, because that's a nonsensical word. When you materialize your desired reality, because you're going to, you wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't going to. It's just a matter of time. Now, when you're able to materialize your desired reality, you're no longer gonna be in the line with everybody else. Where everybody else is in this line, you're gonna be over here. And you know what that comes with, which kind of almost links into this last one that I put over here. There's an aspect of you that wants to be relatable. I'll give you an example. So go back to school. You done a test and you fucked that test. It was absolutely terrible. You completely messed it up. The test, you absolutely botched it. Sorry, I hit the microphone. You absolutely botched it. Your friend comes out and they're like, nah, that test was easy. Nah, that test was light. That test was easy. How do you feel? And it's unconscious. It's not like you're upset that your friend done well. You're just upset that you can't relate at that particular moment in time. And that's a very, very minor example. But think about it like this. When you absolutely fail a test and you know after you just wrote that paper, you just know, you don't even need the teacher to mark it. You know what? You know you failed that test. And your friend comes out and they're like, yo, I absolutely failed that test. That was terrible. How do you feel? You feel slightly better. You're like, damn, well, at least I'm in this with you. And once again, it's the aspect of relatability. And what you don't understand is your desire to be relatable to everybody around you is actually what is limiting your ability to achieve that which goes beyond the mediocrity. Because you have to understand, when you're striving to be relatable to those around you, the question I want to ask you is, do you want to be like those around you? I know I didn't. I'm not being like these guys in the ends. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Regardless, my point being, you have to understand that your desire to relate to those around you and to be able to comfortably hang out with those around you is actually what is preventing you from being able to attain your goal. Because the vision that you want to materialize, your desired reality, goes beyond everybody else. And because it goes beyond everybody else, on an unconscious level, you're self-sabotaging yourself from a point of frequency to then be repelled from your actual desired reality. And it all comes back into this. I want you to understand that all of these, they're kind of all linked to another, because even up here, when we're talking about making people feel comfortable, you know for a fact, if you're the only one who's got bread and you're the only one who's successful around all your friends who aren't, you're going to make them feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel uncomfortable. And because you have such a problem with the uncomfortability, because guess what you're trying to be? You're trying to be a good person. You're trying to be a good person, right? All for the sake of being a good person. Because you know the moment that you're unrelatable to those around you, you're going to say, oh, he changed. Oh, he switched up. Oh, he's gone Hollywood. Oh, he thinks he's better than us. You're going to make them feel uncomfortable. How the hell are they going to be able to chill around you? You're not going to be staying in line no more. You're not going to be like everybody around you. And you're going to be doing too much, which are all things that you're extremely terrified of. Why? I'm going to tell you why. And it's actually quite a parasitic entity. And until you're able to sever that connection, you're going to continue to fall for each and every one of these things. And you know it's facts because you're still watching this. So you get what I'm saying. Because let's be real, who wants to be considered somebody who's unrelatable to those around them? We don't want to switch up on those around us, our friends, our family. We still want to be able to materialize our desired reality, but we don't want to switch up on our friends. So how do we balance this contrast? You gotta pick one or the other. We don't want to make people around us feel uncomfortable. Why would we? Who likes that? It's just a bit weird. Like who would want that? We just want to be like everybody else. Why? And it's because of a parasitic entity, which technically you don't want any of this. You've been subjected to thinking you want this, but I'll show you what it is. I'll tell you. You're gonna get some. Just wait right there. And this actually goes so deep, especially if you grow up in like the hood. You know this, because the worst thing that anybody who's from the ghetto or the hood is afraid of is hearing, "You changed." That's like death. That's like death. And in a sense, it is death. Because let me ask you a question. Every video of mine that you watch, or every other video that you've watched, every podcast that you've listened to, every book that you've read, have you really worked that hard to stay the same? And here's the thing, if you want to materialize that desired reality of yours, you're gonna have to get out of being in alignment with everybody else. You're gonna have to make people feel uncomfortable. You're not gonna be able to relate to those around you. And guess what? The moment you do that, they're gonna say, oh, he changed, she changed. They changed. Nah, they're not a good person. They're not a good person. Because here's the thing about being a good person. And it's funny. It's so funny because here's what being a good person means to the average person. What being a good person means to the average person is doing what they want you to. Now that's to the average person. Now, of course, we could actually go into the definition and the contrast of good or bad, whether it exists or not, for the mere fact that it's nothing more than polarity within the third dimensional realm. As you transcend the high levels of understanding, there is no morality. You want to prove it? Throw somebody off a building and see if an angel or God pauses gravity to stop that good person. It doesn't. Electricity doesn't discriminate, and neither does fire. My point being, for the average person, what being good really means is just doing what they want you to. That's it. And your desire to be seen as a good person by everybody isn't actually a reflection of your own personal characteristics. It's actually a reflection of their own insecurities and their own limitations projected onto you to remain within the box that they are in. And that was a bar. Make sure you write that one down and actually put my watermark in the back so them niggas don't steal it again. Now, the parasitic entity that I was referring to earlier, that is currently sucking you of all your energy pores and stopping your ability to actually materialize your desired reality, is what is called a social contract. And guess what? You signed this. Yeah, you and you. You signed this. We all signed it. And what is a social contract? It is well, a social contract is an agreement that you sign up to upon being born to receive love in exchange for conformity. Now, what is the emotion that controls the most people? I want you to just say it to yourself. Now, chances are you said fear. If I'm wrong, then you got me, bro. But chances are you said fear. It's either always fear or love. And the truth of the matter is, the thing that controls more people beyond fear is love. Why? Because babies aren't born with fear. It's rare that a baby is born with fear, in a sense. You know, that's why you'll see babies playing with snakes, picking up spiders, and the mom's like, ah! And then the babies get scared. And then all of a sudden, they become programmed subconsciously to associate that particular spider with that reaction that they had from their mother, and then they perpetuate it. But going off from that, it's love. You're born, everybody's like, oh, what a cute baby. Oh, look at them, what a cute baby. Oh, so cute. Everything you do is great. And you receive love, 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 love. But once again, understand this is all subconscious. And your subconscious mind is the womb of your reality. Once again, you grow up. The moment you do something that steps out of alignment, what do? They say, no, that's not good, that's not good. That love that they've been continuously throwing your way is withheld anytime you don't do something that they want. Love is a bigger controller of fear. Most of us men work hard at the things we do because we want love, not because we're afraid. We want love. Same thing with women. Love is actually the biggest motivator behind everything. More people are driven by love than fear. They just don't realize it. The fear is more immediate, but the love is unconscious. It's in the back. It's something that you don't really recognize until you actually self-explore and self-analyze. My point being, love is the one thing that we all want. So we sign this social contract upon being born to say, hey, so long as you conform and be like everybody else, I'll give you that love. I'll give it to you. But guess what? You have to conform. And if you don't conform, if you don't be a good person, we're not going to give you love. And guess what? That fear of lacking love is exactly what keeps you conformed. And so long as you're conformed, you're taking the frequency of everybody else. And so long as you've taken the frequency of everybody else, you're going to receive the equivalent physical expression of everybody else. That's why you've been struggling to materialize what it is that you want. It's not because this technique doesn't work, or this doesn't work, or this doesn't work, or you can't persist, and how do you maintain frequency, and how do you have confidence. It's not anything because of that. It's not. It's because you're afraid of not receiving the love that you get for conforming, to the point where subconsciously, unconsciously, you're repelling your desired reality from you, because you know upon attaining that desired reality, you would lose the love of everybody around you. It's deep, innit? And it's a parasitic entity. It really, really is. Because you have to understand, and I've said this before in, what video did I mention this in? I think it was Outsmarting the Game of Reality. No, it's How to Be a God Over Your Self-Limiting Beliefs. In that particular video, I expressed to you that you have to understand that beliefs are nothing more than repeated thought form energy and emotional energy. That combination creates a spiritual body, which is known as an entity. When that entity is created, it seeks to remain in existence for the very purpose that it was created. This social contract is an entity of itself. How do you know? Because every time you think about doing something to move into the direction of your desired reality, you're reminded that upon attaining that, you would break a social contract and you would lose the love of those around you. What's it called? I'll tell you what it's called. It's called survivor's guilt. This doesn't just extend to people who have been to war and make it back when all their friends are no longer around. It extends to us, just simply in a different level. And that level is, I know if I'm able to materialize my desire around me, chances are those around me, they haven't materialized their desired reality yet. So if I continue to succeed, you're going to start feeling guilty, aren't you? You will. And then guess what that guilt does? The frequency of guilt begins to alter the frequency of your desired reality. And because it alters the frequency of your desired reality ceases to come into existence. Hopefully by now you should be having some good light bulb moments, because you're too good of a person. In fact, you're so much a good person that it's stopping you from materializing your desired reality. What a contradictory, paradoxical sentence, but you understand the implications of it now, don't you? Social contracts, social contracts. Now let's look at bad people, because these individuals, and don't worry, I'm sure you've asked yourself the question of, why do bad things happen to good people? And that was a question I asked myself all the time, especially growing up in an environment where everybody's working as hard as they can. I was raised by my mom and my auntie, seeing them work as hard as they can. And even those around me, whether friends of family members or family members themselves, I could never conceptualize how these angels of people are going through these particular forms of reality. It never made sense to me. But then I got that question answered. Don't worry. And it's not because God has a plan, as my pastor used to say to me. That was just nonsense. I'll give you the answer, don't worry. But before then, I need you to be a bad person. Yes, I need you to be a bad person. I know. They say what the spiritual niggas tell you. They tell you love and light and all this other shit, but even darkness is light. People act as if light is better than darkness, but if I put you in a, as Dr. Phil Valentine said, shout out to him, as he said, if I put you in a room full of light, you wouldn't be able to see, but if I put you in a room full of dark, you wouldn't be able to see again. Which one's better? None. You can't clap with one hand. Polarity has to coexist. It is nothing more than the third dimensional labels that we attribute towards things that actually give it the meaning, but in of itself, it has no meaning. Now, I need you to be a bad person. In fact, I want you to be a bad person after this video. I want people to think, nah, they're not a good person. Because anytime they're saying that, that means you're strengthening the frequency to materialize your desired reality. So let's look at bad people. Air quotes. Now, I'm not talking about the physical actions of being bad. I don't want you going out slapping babies and stuff like that. Don't be doing anything crazy like that. When I'm referring to bad people, I'm referring to they do what they want. They don't conform. You know what's crazy? I actually feel bad for the people that are listening to my videos and then recreating them bar for bar, because I do all of this stuff off top. I do all of this stuff off top, so it's like, damn. Anyways, they don't conform. They do what they want. They don't conform. They don't care for the feelings of those around them. Any more? This will be for now. So, what is considered a bad person? Somebody who clearly does what they want. Now, whether you realize this or not, unless you're doing what you want, you're not materializing your desired reality. So this is something you need to begin to do unapologetically. I need you to be unapologetically after your desired reality, because how social contracts play with you is, as I mentioned earlier, they play with your emotion. They will make you feel guilty that you're no longer going to be relatable to those around you. They're going to make you feel scared that you're going to lose the love of those around you, so on and so forth. Anytime that you're feeling these two things, as I'm saying the things that I'm saying, I'm gonna need you to put these things to the side, because I need to make this real for you to understand this. So long as you're feeling scared and guilty, you're going to remain conformed by the parasitic entity that is your social contract. And so long as you're conforming to the social contract, then you're going to remain within the confinements of the societal level of consciousness in reference to what is possible to materialize. Going back to bad people, they do what they want unapologetically. That's something you're gonna have to do. And I want you to see this as a conscious decision that you're making every single day, because each and every choice, each and every thought, each and every place that you give your attention to, everything that you believe aligns with your identity is nothing more than a choice between two frequencies, your old one and your new one. And if you're choosing the old one, leave. Number two, they don't conform. You're gonna have to understand that you will be the outlier. You will be. And you need to get comfortable with all of these things. You just have to. Because until you're able to get comfortable with the idea that you need to do what you want unapologetically, you need to be able to conform. You need to be able to be free from conforming to the societal level of consciousness, so you're able to escape what that level of consciousness seeks to materialize, which typically is nothing more than that reflective of survival, which is probably where you're at. That's exactly where I grew up. Now, you're also not going to have to care for the feelings of those around you. And it's so funny because I remember this conversation I was having with one of my elders, shout out Cass. And I was telling him, I was like, damn, I feel kind of guilty for, the success I'm having. And this was ages ago. And he said something to me and it stuck with me. He said, nigga, you think you're the first person to be successful? And it's the truth. It is literally the truth. Because you have to understand, you can either choose to materialize your desired reality and change the entire course of your family's generations, not only from a point of consciousness, but from a point of potential wealth. Or you can be like everybody else. And what he was trying to get me to understand was, am I going to let these two particular forms of emotions keep me in the same position as everybody else? Because the truth of the matter is, the aim of life isn't to live by default, it's to live by design. And that's what we're doing here. It's all by design. But in order for you to live life by design, you're going to have to design your mind beyond the default mind that you were given. That's another bar. Anyways, as you begin to materialize your desired reality, people around you are going to be uncomfortable. And you gotta be okay with that. You gotta be a bad person. You gotta be okay with that. Because if you're not able to detach from that, then these two particular emotions of guilt and fear are going to stick you straight back to your old frequency. And guess what? You won't have your desired reality, but guess what? You'll have love. And here's the thing. What the old frequency tricks you into thinking is that if you're able to detach from it and create and step out into a new frequency, you're going to lose the love of those around you, and you very well might. But my question to you is, do you want the love of those around you if that love is only determined by your ability to conform and stay the same, to die exactly in the exact circumstance that you were raised in? Doesn't make sense. So you are going to have to be a bad person. You have to get comfortable with all of these things. And here's how I want you to deal with the guilt and the fear every time it comes up. Because once again, spirituality without the ability to control your reality is vanity. That's my saying. Even if you see somebody else say that, I said that. Well, truthfully, I didn't say it really. There's nothing new under the sun, as they say. I guess everything's already been said. Which is why I'm not too pressed, to be fair. I'd actually love to, help other people and put other people on. So, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. Like, it ain't gotta be sour. Come on now. So as I said, the way that the old frequency will trap you, and you have to understand that the old frequency is an entity that has existed until the moment that you became conscious that you are the one that controls your reality. Now, for some of us, that might be 20 years. For some of us, that might be 30. For others, it might be 10. It doesn't matter. My point being, as I said in a previous video called What to Do When You Fall Off Your Frequency, which you should go check out if that's something you're experiencing, you've been asleep longer than you've been awake. So give yourself some grace. Damn, that kind of rhymed. Maybe the people that say I look like a rapper, which is just idiotic, to be fair. If you're seeing a rapper rapping just in a vest, fam, and I don't know what type of rap you're listening to. Them niggas always dripped out somehow. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, you have to understand that the old frequency is sneaky. And what it wants to do, it wants to keep you confined to it and stuck to it by playing on your emotions. Why? Because your emotions is the most powerful energy source in reality. Emotion, emotion, which emits an energetic signature that we call a frequency. That frequency corresponds with a particular state of reality. That reality is then materialized, so on and so forth. So it is the most powerful energy in the universe. So what it will do, it will play on your emotions, because it knows so long as it can get you to have a particular form of emotion, which is always going to be resonant, of guilt and fear, which is what you feel when you think about materializing your reality and those around you changing, so on and so forth, or saying you have changed. These two emotions stick to your old reality. And the first way that you can actually move beyond it, as always with anything, the first step to anything is awareness. Nope. The hell? Nah, I can't save that. I messed that one up. Right over here. First step to anything is awareness. When you're feeling that guilt or that fear, you need to be able to understand why you're feeling it. Because here's the thing. You can't win a game if you don't know the rules. But the moment you know what is taking place within the game, it gives you an entirely different paradigm on how to operate it. Because then what you have to understand, and this will be the thing that gives you that click, what you have to understand is the guilt and fear that you're feeling is nothing more than the guilt and fear that is created by the old frequency. Truthfully, you probably don't feel bad for wanting to materialize your desired reality and break free from those around you. You only feel bad because this is causing you to feel this. But it's causing you to feel this not out of genuinely feeling bad, but nothing more than a trick, a ploy to keep you exactly where you are. And once you understand the mental gymnastics that this puts you through, this gives you an entirely different perspective. And that entirely different perspective allows you to calculate and navigate it in a completely different way. So when that guilt and fear pops up, you're like, nah, I know what that is. And when you know what it is, it's like, stop being ridiculous. Like, no, I'm going towards my desired reality regardless of whatever it is that's taking place. Now, I told you I'd answer a question that has been asked by many people, which I'm sure, I think whenever you've gone through it in life, you either ask yourself two questions. That's either why me, or why do bad things happen to good people? And I'll tell you why. And you should already have an idea if you're somebody who's been watching my videos for a while. And if you're new here, then make sure to take those notes. Make sure those notes that you're taking, you drop them in the description. That's kind of the tradition around here. That question. What do you think? Why do bad things happen to good people? Quite simple. This is as simple as it gets. That kind of looks a bit messed up. Don't watch that. But good people simply have bad frequencies. Good people have bad states of mind. Good people have bad emotional states. The combination of that emotional and thought energy emits a particular frequency, which is resonant of being bad, which is resonant of being survival mode. Quite simply, as stated in Acts 10:34, of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. Point being, God, which is nothing more than consciousness, right? The most high frequency, the most high level of consciousness and impersonal energy, not some individual who sat on a throne with elbows and feet and a bottom, pause, that none of that even makes sense remotely. But understanding that that consciousness is the substance of reality and is actually what creates your reality in a sense which is within you, right? This is why in Corinthians it says, don't you know that you are the temple of God, the Spirit of God dwells within you. That level of consciousness that causes you to create a particular form of reality, as said in Acts 10:34, is no respecter of persons. The truth is, it doesn't care if you're a nice person. It doesn't. And I know that's a hard thing to warp your mind around because you've been given this idea that God punishes those who are bad and he rewards those that are good. But let me ask you a question. Have you seen more good people punished or bad people punished? I've seen a lot of good people punished for years, praying day after day after day after day. And them niggas that are pushing this religion, which is a drug really and truly, see the same people going through the exact same things over and over and over again, without ever giving them a change in paradigm to understand that the truth of the matter is, you have a bad state of mind, you have a bad emotional state, this creates a particular frequency which aligns you with a particular reality. Somebody asked me to, break down what is frequency. Frequency is just an energetic signature which corresponds with a particular state or condition of reality. Conditions and circumstances of reality aren't permanent, they're temporary. Now, you can be in one for a long period of time, but that's simply because you're outputting the same product code. If you think about it like ordering from Amazon, when your item is shipped from the warehouse, they correspond what particular product code has been put online, match it in the shop, and then send it out. It's the same thing with realities. There's a universal Amazon that gives people realities, and unfortunately, good people don't realize that God is no respecter of persons. It's a sad truth, but it's also an awakening truth, because you do have to detach from the idea that because you're a good person, good things are going to happen to you. And I'll make a separate video on karma. I know a lot of you think karma is real, but it's not. And I could break that down in one sentence, but I might get cancelled off this platform. Now, saying that good people think bad things, they feel bad things, those thinking and feeling create a frequency, reality, you get the point. So you do have to understand, it's not about being a good person. It's not about being a bad person. What it's always, and the only thing it will ever be about, is frequency, thoughts, belief. And when I say thoughts, I don't just mean single thoughts. I mean thoughts that are emotionally charged. They come with a different type of vibration, which has the ability to actually penetrate the universal quantum field to extract that reality back down. I'm talking about your identity. I'm talking about your attention. These are the only things that have ever mattered. And so long as you're able to make sure that these match up to the reality you want, you'll get them. I'm not saying it's a good game. This is just the game. This is just it. So now that you understand why you need to be a bad person, please go be bad.